CoinTerra here. I work for CoinTerra as the VP of software. And yeah, CoinTerra has the honor of being the main sponsor of this conference, CoinTerra being an Austin-based company, naturally to be a sponsor here. And yeah, I want to tell you a little bit about CoinTerra and how to build the world's fastest Bitcoin mining rig, and something about Bitcoin mining in general, a little bit how it works, why you would do it, and why you would manufacture mining rigs, and why you might want to operate one yourself. This is the mining rig that I'm talking about. It's called the Terra Miner 4, a product that came to market in January. And it is today's fastest single Bitcoin mining rig on the market at a speed of 1.62 terahash per second. What is remarkable about it is the time that it took to come to market. The company CoinTerra was founded in May 2013, and the product came to market in January 2014. That's a span of 8 months. 8 months from conception of the product to market. Okay, we're here on a Formula 1 track, and I was told there have already been 2 Formula 1 races here, between a Formula 1 car and the miner that we've just seen. So a Formula 1 car certainly has an engine, and this engine better be the fastest possible and the most optimized, most efficient one. And the same is true for what is the heart of the Bitcoin miner, which is an ASIC chip. The Terra Miner 4 has 4 of them. And the same criteria apply. It should be the best, most efficient in terms of power consumption and fastest chip possible, of course. Then another challenge is cooling. It is a challenge in Formula 1 cars, and just as well it is a challenge in the Terra Miner, which uses about 2 kilowatts, and that has to be cooled. We have a liquid cooling system in the Terra Miner, and fans that cool the radiators. Then you have to think about airflow. Engineers for Formula 1 cars go through a huge effort of optimizing airflows in tunnels, experiments, and by computer simulation. We did a similar thing. We also simulated the airflow in the box to optimize the heat distribution. Then in Formula 1, pit stops are important. What could be an equivalent to a pit stop in a Terra Miner? There's something like that, because every once in a while the work that the ASICs are working on gets updated. This is triggered by external events on the Bitcoin network. When a new block is found, a new problem has to be created. And pit stops have to be as short as possible, and also in the ASIC miner the latency has to be as small as possible. A new problem has to be loaded quickly, and this could be considered a pit stop here. The fuel here in the Terra Miner is the power. Of course, it is important to have very efficient power supplies. We have chosen the most efficient ones on the market as well. And the pilot, or in a Terra Miner there better be an autopilot. That is the controller in there and the software running on it. It should take care also of small latencies from the software side. Okay, so why would anybody be doing this and manufacture a Bitcoin miner, and why would somebody consider buying one and actually mining for Bitcoin? So I want to give you a little bit of background about what Bitcoin mining is, what happens in Bitcoin mining. What is it? You probably have heard of the blockchain. The blockchain, what is it? It is the public ledger of Bitcoin. It contains every single transaction that has ever happened in the history of Bitcoin. And as the name says, blockchain, it's a chain of blocks, discrete blocks, and this chain is growing. It started with one block, the Genesis block, and is constantly growing. Approximately every 10 minutes, a new block is added to the chain. Now, how is this possible? On average, every 10 minutes. Why are blocks not or cannot be created arbitrarily fast? That is because a block is only valid if it contains a solution to a certain problem, which is rather difficult to solve. That slows down the generation of the blockchain. Now, what kind of problem is that? So what actually has to be contained in the block is a solution to the problem, that solution that everybody can verify. And the solution in Bitcoin terms is called the proof of work, because the presence of the solution in the block proves that the person who created the block has done a lot of work to find this solution. It is quite interesting to note a little bit the nature of this problem. The problem is designed so that the only reasonable way to find a solution is by guessing. That's by the nature of the problem. That's how the problem is designed. You cannot expect to find any better way to find a solution than simple guessing randomly. So this is kind of a lottery. You can think of it as a lottery. Think of it, for example, as a lottery by scratch cards. Yeah, you can imagine you have an unlimited stack of scratch cards, and what you do is scratch them off, and then you see if it's a solution or not, if it's a winner or not. So the problem doesn't consist in creating the stash cards. The problem consists in scratching them off. That is the work that you do. And the faster you can, every card has the same chance of being a winner, of course, and the faster you can scratch them off, the more chances you have of finding a winner. So scratching off is the work, and this is what the miners do. Why would you be doing this? Well, there's a reward for finding a winner, for finding a new block. And the reward consists of two things: of newly generated coins that are assigned to you if you're the winner of the block, and also of transaction fees. And what is important to note is that this is a decentralized system. If you take the analogy of the scratch card, everybody in the world can download the scratch-off cards and start scratching. It's completely decentralized. Okay, why to mine Bitcoins? What is the purpose? How does it support the Bitcoin network? Well, one thing we have seen is obviously coins get issued by mining. Miners find blocks, blocks issue new coins. In other currencies, this is done by central banks, and central banks decide based on politics when a new currency is issued and how much. In Bitcoin, this is regulated by an algorithm and predetermined. Often this is thought of as an important thing of mining, or some people think it's the important thing of mining, but actually it is not. I think of it rather as a side effect. More important than issuance of currency is mining guarantees a consensus of the network. What kind of consensus is this? It's the consensus on the public ledger, consensus on the blockchain. More precisely, on the order of the blocks in the blockchain, and thereby on the order of the transactions. The consensus problem here Why is it difficult? Because we're talking about a distributed network. The entire world has to agree on one public ledger, on one data structure. That's in computer science a known difficult problem. And another version or related problem is called the double spending problem. If you're talking about digital tokens that have a value that can act like money, then immediately, because they are digital, you have a double spending problem. Somebody could spend the same token to two different recipients, and they don't know each other, and they don't know that the same token has been spent somewhere else at the same time. I can give you a little bit of history on this problem. There was in 1982, David Chaum invented digital cash, which was a centralized solution. So a digital bank, and there was an issuer who could issue these digital tokens, and he solved the double spending problem for those. This was in '82, and then but this kind of solution is far from solving the same problem for a decentralized system. And then in '97, Adam Back invented the concept of proof of work. And only in 2008, Bitcoin put these things together and actually solved the double spending problem for a decentralized system based on proof of work. And historically, solving the distributed consensus problem or distributed double spending problem was by many people thought of to be impossible to solve. And what solved it? Mining solved it. Proof of work and mining. And the third reason to mine Bitcoins is it guarantees that Bitcoin is censorship resistant, in the sense that nobody can prevent us from getting our transaction into the blockchain. Why? Because as long as the mining network is decentralized, you will always find a miner somewhere in the world who sooner or later will get lucky enough to find a block, and that can include your transaction. Only if the network is centralized, limited to very few miners, then it would ever be possible to censor transactions. Okay, what are the responsibilities for miners on the one side and for mining rig manufacturers on the other side? So first important thing is to keep it centralized. If you're a miner, you can keep it decentralized. You can support decentralization by either mining for yourself, or if you decide to share your mining power with others, to pool your mining power with others in what we call a mining pool, then you should take care of knowing your mining pool. For example, you should see how big is your mining pool. Let it not take over a majority of the network. You should be aware of what kind of code your mining pool is running. Does it run the latest code for Bitcoin nodes? You should take care of how well it is connected to other miners, to the mining network in general. These things, because you keep in mind, you can think of mining as a lottery. You can also think of it as voting, because you actually vote for what goes into this public ledger. And well, in politics, you're not allowed to sell your vote. In Bitcoin mining, you are allowed to sell your vote. You can sell it to a mining pool, for example. But if you do that, then you better know who you sell it to. And well, decentralization, of course, is also a responsibility for the manufacturers. And another responsibility is to always be at the technological limit. Why is that important? Because some malicious party could maybe try to take over the network by producing a miner which has is a technological step in advance of all the other miners. Then, so he would gain a technological advantage over all the others. But if mining manufacturers are already at the technological limit, at the best process nodes for producing silicon that there is, then we can limit the chances that somebody can take over the network in this way. Okay, to summarize what we have seen, mining itself is a race because it is a lottery. Everybody is trying to evaluate as many lottery tickets as possible in competition with all the others. There can only be one next block. Then manufacturing the miners is also a race because it is a race to the technological limit, and as we have seen, the product cycles are extremely short. In fact, things like this, 8 months for a product from conception to market is unheard of in the industry. All step in between from idea to tape out, from tape out to silicon, and from silicon to a product on the market. Each of these steps has been faster than the industry is actually used to. So Bitcoin, because of that, has a huge impact on the hardware industry and the semiconductor industry in particular. Bitcoin will push the limits of this industry, and also CoinTerra will push the limit of the industry. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Robbie. Does anyone have any questions? If so, come on up. I'll be your moderator here. You can come up and ask them in this microphone of our great speaker. Or I can come to you if you want to raise your hand. Stay seated. Questions? Okay. Oh, we do have one. Great.
How long do you think it will be? Because right now miners are at 28 nanometers, is that correct? How long do you think it's going to be before an ASIC company is able to make the jump to the next smallest?
As soon as the next smallest process node will be available, I suppose.
Okay.
I think in the future probably Bitcoin will be the application that's pushing on to get first on the next process nodes.
Okay, because is Intel working on 14 nanometer right now? Is that do we know?
I don't know.
Okay. So 28 nanometer is basically, that is the pinnacle of production software or production hardware right now?
Yes, after 28 comes 20, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question? All right, coming to you.
So since he triggered the discussion, I'm going to ask you another question on it. There could be potentially one or more entities working on 14 nanometer because they believe the 28 nanometer half-life, if you look at the curve, could be 6 to 12 months. But from what I've been told, 14 nanometer will take about 18 months. So my question, while we have this gap between 28 going to 14, or 20 maybe is the next interim step, if it really takes 18 months to get to the next family of ASICs with more power and faster hashing, if you look at current difficulties increasing with all the volume that'll ship in 28 nanometer, what's going to happen with mining, in your opinion, let's say Q4 this year or 12 months out, when you can't be profitable on 28 and where you still got this 6-month gap to the next technology? Are the miners going to, I'm not sure what'll happen. Is the mining industry going to kind of clean out at the end of the year because their operations cost will be higher than the coin? Or do you believe the payment system for entering stuff on the blockchain will go up? Or is 20 nanometer going to come a lot faster than 18 months? There's a lot of variables here that could really challenge the whole industry. And
yes,
I'm just wondering if you have thoughts.
There are so many variables that make it impossible to predict that. The mining hardware will always push to the next limit, but I think 28 will be profitable for a while. I mean, if you're what would you expect from 20 nanometers? Maybe double the performance, but that it still means you could mine profitably with the existing 28. But it's simply impossible to predict the timeline and how it will develop and all the parameters that come into the game. We don't know how the price will develop. We don't know how big the network will actually be. It's just too hard to predict. Pardon?
You answered my question. I wasn't hearing 20 from anybody, so that might be an interim that takes the performance up, which is just the 14. If you look at the timeline.
I don't know the timeline for either 20 or 14.
So I have an answer for you. So I'm the VP of Engineering for CoinTerra. Right, 20 is being developed right now. There are companies in this industry working on 20 today. I think you'll probably see 20 in the next month or so, right? 14 will be available, depending on who you go to, by the end of this year. And then 16 nanometer, which is the competing technology from another vendor, will be available starting next year. So you'll see people in this industry taping out chips and all those technologies in the next 6 months is what I believe is going to happen. No.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, guys.